everyone, and welcome to week 4 of the Gift of Christmas Crochet Along. We're back to stripes this week and we've got 2 different blocks. We have Good Things Come in Small Packages and I Hope It's Not Coal. Let's dive in. Here is our first block of this week, Good Things Come in Small Packages. I've got my stripe 1 colour, stripe 2 colour, bow colour, background and edging yarn, and as always I've got my 4mm hook. I've got my scissors, got new ones this week, aren't they pretty? And I've got my stitch marker. The first 2 rows of the Good Things Come in Small Packages block will be very familiar to you because they are exactly the same as the Give It a Shake stripy block. So I'm going to start off by chaining 22. So that's 22. And then a treble crochet in the 4th chain from the hook. So we're counting the chains below the hook. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So that counts as my first 2 treble crochet. And I'm going to complete the row with 18 more treble crochet. 17, 18, 19, and 20. And then 2 chains and turn, and the 2 chains count as the first treble, so I'm not going to make a stitch into the bottom. I'm going to make my stitch into the next treble. And 1 treble in each stitch, so I have 20 trebles in total. Here's my first stripe, and I can snip the first stripe yarn now, leaving a tail to sew in later, and I'm going to change to the stripe 2 yarn. So I'm going to do that by pulling through a loop of yarn and chain 2, and this counts as our first treble of the row, and this time we're going to make a granny stripe row. So this 2 chain counts as the first stitch, so this is the first stitch here, so I'm not going to put anything in here. And then I'm going to skip 1 stitch. So that's the next stitch along because this is the first stitch. So skip 1 stitch. So that's this next second stitch. And then I'm going to make 3 treble crochet into the 3rd stitch along. And if you're reading along with the pattern, it will now say skip 2 stitches and make 3 treble crochet in the next stitch 5 times. So I'm going to skip 2 stitches, that's 1, 2. I'm going to make 3 treble crochet in the 3rd stitch, and then I'm going to repeat that sequence of stitches 5 times across my row. So skip 2 and then 3 treble crochet in the next stitch. And then skip 2 and 3 treble crochet in the next stitch until you've done that 5 times. So skip 2 stitches and 3 treble crochet, So this is my 5th repeat of that sequence of stitches. And then to finish the row, I'm going to skip 1 stitch. So I'm going to skip this stitch and make 1 treble crochet in the last stitch of the row. And this is a turning chain, so I'm going to make the stitch into the 2nd chain. So there's the first row of my 2nd stripe. Now going to chain 2 again, and this counts as a stitch, and then turn, and I'm going to make 1 treble crochet into the first space, and this is the space here which is between my first treble and my first set of 3 trebles. So into that space, and we're not working into the stitch, so I'm not going into the top of the stitch. My hook is going into the space between the stitches, so right into that space. And now I'm going to make 3 treble crochet into each space until 1 space remains. So I've got 1 space remaining, and that's the space between the last set of 3 trebles and the 1 treble. And I'm going to make 2 treble crochets into this space to finish the row. And this is what gives you nice straight edges. And now I can snip off this yarn, leaving a tail, and I'm going to change back to the pink now to make my 3rd stripe. And the beginning of this row is slightly different, and the reason for that is that this 2nd row of granny stripe that we've just made only has 19 stitches in it. So we need to bring the stitch count back to 20. So we're going to do that with a chain 2. And as always, this counts as a stitch. And then I'm going to turn. But I'm also going to make a stitch into this very first stitch here. So in effect, it's 2 stitches in 1. So this is the first stitch, and instead of skipping this, we're going to make a stitch in here as well. And that is what is going to bring our stitch count back to 20 from 19 in the row below. So that's 2, and then I've got 18 more treble crochet across the row, and that will give me my stitch count of 20. 18, 19, 20, and then I'm going to finish this stripe with a 2 chain and turn. So the 2 chain counts as my first stitch, and we're back to a stitch count of 20 this time, so I can skip this first stitch and work my treble crochet into the next stitch, and then finish the row so I have 20 treble crochet. I finished my row, and I've sewn in the tails on the side, but I've left this first tail as I did before to help me identify the foundation chain. And I haven't fastened off here because this is where I'm going to change to my bow colour. And the bow is now made in exactly the same way as you did for your Give It a Shake block. So here are the 2 blocks together, and this top edge is exactly the same as the Give It a Shake block. I've added the bow and I've made a start on the background rows, but this time instead of adding 2 background rows, I'm going to add 6, and this is going to bring my block up to the same height as my other blocks before I start adding the edging rounds. I've done my 6 background rows, and that makes the block the same height as the other ones. And I can now complete the 3 edging rounds in the usual way. And here it is with the background and edging complete. Here's our second block of this week, and it's called I Hope It's Not Cold. I've got my stripe 1 colour, stripe 2 colour, bow colour, background and edging colour, 4mm hook, scissors and stitch marker. I Hope It's Not Coal is made in the same way as the Good Things That Come in Small Packages block we've just made. So if I just show you these together, they're the same, except this time I've repeated rows 3, 4, 5 and 6 one more time. So instead of having 3 stripes, I've got 5 stripes. But from this point, it's exactly the same as our Give It a Shake block. So I can add the bow, the background rows and the edging rounds in exactly the same way as week 2. And here's I Hope It's Not Coal with the background rows and edging rounds complete. So here they are, our 2 blocks for this week, and as always the written pattern will tell you how many and which colour combinations you need to make. Really hope you've enjoyed this week. Have fun making, and I'll see you next week for week 5.